Welcome back, dear dreamers and faithful hearts, to my channel, a place where timeless stories come alive beneath the stars. Tonight, we continue with Genesis Part 2. It is the sweeping story of God calling a family into promise and carrying His word through wandering paths, broken relationships, hidden mercy, and redeeming grace until hope is secured for generations. So snuggle in, take a deep breath, and let your heart travel back to where it all began. This is Genesis. The promise begins. Long ago, in a land filled with sandy winds and ancient paths, there lived a man named Abram. He was kind, thoughtful, and always tried to listen for the quiet voice of God. One night, under a sky full of shimmering stars, that very voice spoke to him. Abram, leave your homeland. I will show you a new place. I will bless you, make your family great, and through you, all people will be blessed. Abram didn't know where the path would lead, but he believed in God's whisper. So he packed his tent, gathered his herds, and began walking toward the unknown. God watched over Abram and his wife Sarai as they traveled through valleys and hills, and in time God gave them new names, Abraham and Sarah, as signs of a promise deeper than the oceans and wider than the skies. But there was one promise they still waited for, a child. Years passed, then more years. Still, Abraham trusted God, and one bright morning, laughter filled their home. Baby Isaac was born, his name meaning laughter, reminding them that God keeps His promises in beautiful, surprising ways. As Isaac grew, Abraham taught him stories of faith, hope, and the God who guides wandering hearts. And so, as Isaac grew older, the promise that began with Abraham passed softly to him, like a glowing lantern handed down from one loving hand to another. Isaac grew into a quiet, faithful man who walked in the ways of his father Abraham, trusting the God who keeps promises. He married Rebekah, a woman marked by courage, wisdom, and a tender heart. For many years they waited and prayed, and in God's perfect time, their prayers were answered with twin sons, Esau and Jacob. Even in the womb, the boys struggled, as if their lives would always move in different directions. As they grew, their differences became clear. Esau was strong and bold, a lover of the open fields and wild places. Jacob was gentle and reflective, content to stay near home, watching and listening, learning quietly. Though their paths often collided and their choices led to tension and hurt, God's unseen hand was already shaping a greater purpose. When conflict drove Jacob away, he journeyed alone into the night. With no shelter but the stars, he laid his head upon a stone and fell asleep. In that stillness, heaven opened before him. He saw a ladder reaching from earth to the skies, angels ascending and descending, and above it all stood God Himself, speaking words of promise and comfort. I am with you. I will watch over you wherever you go. Jacob awoke changed. The place of fear became holy ground, and his heart learned that God was not distant, but near. Jacob continued his journey, working faithfully, enduring hardship, and finding love in Rachel. Over the years, his family grew. 12 sons, each carrying a future unknown, each part of a promise far bigger than himself. Through labor and loss, joy and struggle, God remained faithful. At last, after many years apart, Jacob returned home, uncertain and afraid. But the moment he met Esau again, fear melted to grace. Esau ran to him, embraced him, and forgave him. Tears replaced anger, and the brothers were healed. The blessing moved forward, not through perfection, but through mercy. carried by a God who redeems broken paths and turns them into a story of peace, promise, and hope. Among Jacob's many sons, one story rose with quiet brilliance, woven with dreams, danger, and a purpose meant to preserve life. Joseph, one of the youngest, carried a rare gift. God spoke to him through dreams. In them, the future flickered like lantern light in the night, hinting at a destiny far greater than he could yet understand. But those dreams stirred resentment. His older brothers, weighed down by jealousy, allowed bitterness to take root. One fateful day their anger turned into betrayal, and Joseph was sold to passing traders bound for Egypt. In a single moment, his life was torn from home, family, and everything familiar. Yet even in the shadows of loss, God did not leave him. In Egypt, Joseph chose faithfulness over despair. He worked with integrity, spoke with wisdom, and trusted that the God who gave the dreams had not forgotten him. Though he faced false accusations and long seasons of waiting, hope remained alive within him. In time, God lifted Joseph from obscurity to influence. He was given responsibility, then authority, and finally the wisdom to interpret dreams that no one else could understand. Not even Pharaoh. Recognizing God's hand upon him, Pharaoh placed Joseph over all Egypt, entrusting him to prepare the land for coming years of famine. When the famine spread across nations, Joseph's own brothers journeyed to Egypt in search of food, unaware that the man standing before them was the brother they had once cast aside. Joseph had every reason to seek revenge, but grace spoke louder than pain. He revealed himself with tears, offered forgiveness instead of judgment, and welcomed them with open arms. What had been meant for harm, God had turned into salvation. Joseph brought his entire family to Egypt, where they would be protected and provided for. Jacob wept with joy as he embraced the son he thought was lost forever. The family was restored, and God's promise was preserved. Through dreams and suffering, loss and mercy, God proved once again that he can take what is broken and turn it into blessing for one family and for many lives yet to come. And so, Joseph brought his family to Egypt, and a new chapter quietly unfolded, one that would shape the destiny of a people yet to be fully revealed. As the years passed, Jacob, now called Israel, felt his strength fade. Gathering his sons close, he spoke blessings over each one, words rich with meaning, hope, and future purpose. Though their paths would differ, each carried a role in the unfolding promise of God. Joseph remained a faithful guardian of his family. With wisdom and compassion, he ensured their well-being, guiding them through the years with steady care. Together, they settled in the land of Egypt, safe, provided for, and growing in number. What began as a small household slowly multiplied, generation after generation, like seeds planted in fertile soil. The family of Abraham, once a single man called to wander by faith, had now become a flourishing people. When Joseph's own life neared its end, he left them with words not of fear, but of hope. God will surely come to your aid and bring you back to the land he promised. With that promise echoing in their hearts, Genesis draws to a close. The story rests, not in an ending, but in expectation, because God's faithfulness continues, and the next chapter of redemption is already beginning to rise. And so, dear listeners, the story of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph teaches us that God is faithful through every generation. In the journeys, in the dreams, in the struggles, and in the quiet moments when we hold on to hope. Thank you for joining tonight's bedtime story. May peace rest gently over you as you sleep.